we are live.
Yeah. So, hey, Angie, what's going on?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah. Well, we've got a lovely special guest today called Nicole from Care podcast. And guess what?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That wasn't one of my silly jokes. Um, Nicole is also from New York as well. And she's going to sort of have a chat with us about her cancer journey with colorectal cancer. And yeah, we'll just kick it off from there, really. So,
Yeah.
welcome to the show, Nicole. How are you
Welcome.
today?
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It's a
Yeah,
privilege
we're
that I
happy
don't
to
take
have you.
lightly.
Yeah. So, as we know, the Buffalo Bills are the AFC East champions in American football. Hooray!
Holly's very
That's
proud
what
of
I'm
that. Very proud.
sorry. I'm
I
from
know
upstate New York.
nothing. I know
I know.
nothing about football.
Don't worry, I don't even watch it now anymore. But
Oh,
yes,
it just
upstate
sounds
New
good.
York here. Angie's from, I guess, a bit near the Hudson River. Were you
Yeah,
saying?
I'm more Giants or Jets, I guess. But my cousin Janine, hey Janine from Buffalo, she's also very excited about the Bills too. So
Okay, right. Yeah. So Nicole is actually in Queens at the moment. Not excited about football, but that is okay. But we've got you on the show today, Nicole. And obviously, our podcast is called Mummy, I Have a Little Cancer. You've got two children. Tell us what you're all about, Nicole.
yes.
So I also have two kids. I have two girls. Um,
Okay.
their ages the oldest just turned 13,
Oh wow,
Yeah.
you got a
Okay.
teenager.
and
You
the
sound
baby
yourself
she's 11. did
11.
did y'all hear
Okay.
that?
Yeah, I heard
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So 11. So that is probably some tricky years, I would think. Tricky ages,
that.
I would think.
Yes, yes.
But we
I
know they're
mean,
lovely, don't we? We know they're lovely.
they are beautiful kids. God's gift. But
Yeah.
it's a little different than when I was 13 and 11. The
Nowadays.
conversations are different. So
Nowadays, you don't know, do you?
yeah.
Technology and all. But anyway, you were diagnosed with cancer in 2016. So what was that like for you? So it was colorectal cancer, 2016. Where were you at in your life?
So I was 37 years old.
Mhm.
Okay.
Um, thought I was healthy. I just had my physical done in October. Came back with a clean bill of health as usual.
Mhm.
I
Hmm.
never usually have any like there. I don't have issues. I'm always, clean bill of health. I don't go to the hospital. I don't go to the doctor. I rarely get a cold. So I'm that person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
when I went, I left, and everything is good. But like I'm talking to my friend, my best friend, and we were joking like after that, initial appointment, we were joking around and talking about she had constipation, and I was like, I think I have hemorrhoids because I get this like little bleeding here and there, but nothing that was so serious where I totally forgot to mention it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it was really minimal, nothing of concern, nothing hurt, nothing felt, out of the norm. Besides, I'll see that here and there. So we were like, yeah, that sounds like hemorrhoids, right? Because there was really nothing else to think
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
don't be shy about talking about poo or anything like that in front of Angie and I. We've got small children and like
I'm
they tell
getting used
stories
to
about it all the
it.
time. It's one of those things that definitely does not put us off. And Angie's having chemo at the moment, and it's a
Yeah,
topic that
yeah.
often Angie.
Today was not a good day.
So definitely don't
Aw.
be definitely do not feel uncomfortable. Anyway, yeah, you are. Yeah, so you thought that maybe you had some hemorrhoids sort of on and
Yeah.
off. Thought it
Mhm.
was a bit strange,
She
and then what led you to sort of going to the doctor?
so she was like, Nicole, you probably shouldn't play around with that too much. It might
Mhm.
be serious. And I'm like, I kind of like pushed it aside, but like it just didn't. It kept repeating in my head for
Mhm.
some reason. And
Hmm.
so I was like, all right, let me call my doctor, go back and just mention it and see what they say.
Mhm.
So when I walked in, she was looking at my chart. She's like, yeah, everything looks good. I mean, who do you think you think it's hemorrhoids? My husband had hemorrhoids. This is her talking to me. He's
Mhm.
had
Yeah.
it for years, and he's another doctor there. He's had it
Okay.
for years, it's normal. It's pretty fun. You just live with it. So I'm like, she's like,
Mm.
well, you don't seem comfortable. Would you like to see a specialist?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I think I would, being that I came that far, might as well. So,
You didn't go upstate, did you? No, you were still in Queens, right? You didn't go
huh?
upstate. You didn't go to upstate New York or anything. You were still pretty
No,
close.
I
That
mean,
was a joke. That was a joke.
Long Island. At the time, I was living in Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I went to a specialist. He did like an office exam, and he said to me, "Well, this doesn't feel like a hemorrhoid. Usually, hemorrhoids are not this low or something,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
something to that effect." So he's like, "I want to schedule you for colonoscopy."
Okay.
So at this point now, I'm like, "Ooh, usually a colonoscopy. I think I took my dad to get his first at 50.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I didn't really know anything about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I had to take any of that. I didn't think I had to worry about that anytime soon. So I'm like, okay. So we did that, and this was in January now because
Okay.
it took a while to get the appointment and stuff like that. So January, um, I went in for the colonoscopy, and they saw a mass. They call it a lesion. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what is a legion? I don't know. The only legions I know is the ones in the Bible. I didn't know that that's what they called it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a term
That's,
that actually yeah, like when you say a lesion, you just think, oh, maybe it's a cut or a
Yeah,
bruise
it
or I
sounds
don't know.
benign. It sounds like it's no big deal. Like, okay, I've got a lesion. Okay, whatever. Yeah.
exactly.
Right. So you must
So,
have been like, okay, what's a lesion? And they must have explained it to you, right? Like,
yeah. And at that point, I was hysterical. My dad was with me
mm,
at the time. And as a mom, the first thing that I thought about were my kids.
How old were you
At
at the time?
the time so it was gonna be 5 years. So they were 6 and 7,
right.
Mm.
So really quite
you
young.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I completely lost it. It took me a good while to like compose myself
Mm.
to be able to like leave the hospital, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Um,
do you think in that moment, because I remember when I was diagnosed, the doctors were telling me things or what have you, and I think I actually had my baby with me, and I totally just like anything they told me, I just really didn't hear. If you get
yeah,
me, it was just like I heard, the cancer thing, and then after that, it was all a big blur. Really, no
yeah,
idea what he, no idea.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. It's like it's a shock,
yeah,
like you're
yeah,
there, you're just it's going in one ear and coming out the other. You're not really
Yep.
processing it.
Mhm.
mm.
So
So from when they told you you had the lesion to, uh, so then you had what, surgery, or how did that go?
so the I went to see the doctor after, the specialist to
Mm.
discuss the care plan.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
the way he spoke to me, it was just so there was no bedside manners. He was like,
Oh,
yeah, we gotta, cut this, cut that. You're gonna have to do this, and you're probably gonna need this. And it was just so,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
just cold.
Mm.
So at that point, I decided I need a second opinion.
Mm-hmm.
good on
So
you.
I went to Sloan Kettering.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having a relationship with them in the past because of a friend of ours. Her son had cancer, and he needed blood, to donations, platelets, and stuff like that. So I
Yeah.
actually donated for him for the first time
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years before that. So I
Okay.
remembered them, and I said, I'll go to them and see what they say.
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being the best decision of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
The moment I walked in, I can't even explain it. When I tell people like Memorial Sloan Kettering is a special place, the moment you walk in,
Mm-hmm.
you just feel so at ease, like everything is gonna be okay.
Yeah, I went to
I can't.
Memorial Sloan Catering for my second opinion too.
You did?
Yeah, because I was diagnosed in Geneva in Switzerland, but I'm from New York, and so when I went to visit my family over the summer, I went to Sloan Memorial. And it's you can tell they're like dedicated, like this is what they do. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
So what is that feeling like? Is it just where they? I mean, obviously they don't give you flowers and chocolates when you walk in, right? But is it just like
It
is
just
it just like the way it is,
it's
or
as if they're hugging you and telling you you're gonna be okay. We're gonna take
oh,
care of you.
oh,
Mm.
that
You
just sounds
know,
brilliant, isn't
from
it?
the conversations, the welcome, just the posture, the tone and the voice, everything.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I met a team there. They had they explained to me, the best course of action, which was they wanted to do chemo, radiation, and surgery.
Mm.
However, and another reason why I love Memorial Sloan Kettering is because they're always doing um, testing. What is that? Protocols.
Okay.
They're always developing new treatments, new plans, and stuff like that. So they explained to me, the chemotherapy, six sessions.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would do radiation, but the radiation, it's gonna affect your body weirdly. You're
Mm.
gonna have it's gonna be in the pelvic area,
Okay.
so you're gonna have like your your vagina is gonna be closing up on you. So we're gonna have to give you a thing so you can like pump. I was like,
Okay, hold on. So you're
They
gonna have
don't tell
to
you
get.
this.
what?
It's like you're laughing, but I mean, I'm not. You're making me laugh, but it's just because the way you said it. But
You said it
so
like
they had to do something.
vagina.
No, I wasn't sure if I should use that word, but I'm like,
We use
man,
all
we're
kinds
all
of words
okay.
here. Yeah.
I guess just kind of clearly. So
I
it was something that was so normally so they do it in a region that where like it gets to be a bit
yes,
change
your
happens. So we say change
pelvis,
happens.
your
You say
pelvis area, your
Mhm.
egg,
happens, yeah.
your eggs are gonna be fried.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, yeah.
your stuff is gonna be closing up. I was
Mhm.
like, oh no, I'm 37 years old. I need that. Like,
Mm.
I'm not
Yeah.
done with down there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
So that
need
must
that.
have been quite a big shock then to hear that. So what how did you how did you
So,
approach
so they
like
said that they have a new protocol
Mhm.
where
fantastic?
they, huh? You're still laughing.
It's because the way you said it, you're making me crack up, which normally I just start cracking up. But I think it's good. Stop, okay, Nicole.
Get it together, Karlee. Get it together.
No, because we just talk about anything. So it's just, but obviously they had a new protocol, and
Yes.
did it work? Did it work?
The protocol it's all computer generated. So
Mhm.
I can put in my name and see if the computer picks me. So what it is that they're trying to see if the body really needs that much invasive procedure for
Oh,
this type of
that's
cancer.
good.
So they want to eliminate the radiation and see
Oh,
if it
good.
will just work from the chemo and the surgery.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I prayed. I said, God, I may need more kids. That's one thing. But number
Mm,
two, I'm a woman. I'm going through all this hormonal changes. I still need down there to function.
yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, you
I got it, Nicole.
know what I'm saying?
Got me before. But did they? I guess the question I have is, did they talk with you about like fertility and things like that before
They
they
did.
Mm.
did this? So
Yes.
like what the options would be and things like
Like,
that. Because some people that we chatted with or just along the way, they don't always like mention these sort of
Yeah,
things.
they
But
mention
like,
it like in the middle of a treatment or something where it's too late. And
yeah.
oh,
like,
oh God,
you should have told me
no.
So it's
before.
so they told you before, which is good.
Yes, they said, you should consider banking your eggs.
Mm.
I even had the discussion with my OBG because he's like, well, the radiation down there gets really dry. You're gonna need lubricants. It's like a
Mhm.
whole mess.
Wow.
I'm
I
in the
was like, God,
I get it.
please.
I get it. I'm in the menopause. I get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
So, so yeah. So you got the new treatment and the protocol, and
I
you had
got
the
on.
radiation and chemotherapy, which was for quite a few weeks. And I mean, having gone through all that, like obviously it's one of those things where. Well, it really just takes a lot out of you, going through all the different treatments, and then when you finish, it's almost like this, I don't know, for me it was like this really big shock. I was just like, what have I just done? Because like, when you're in treatment, you feel like there's an end in sight, so you kind of reach towards that or whatever. And then when you're finished, it's like this whole new world where you're like, oh, what is this? It becomes like your new normal. How did you respond to that? Like for me, I know when treatment ended, it was one of the hardest times for me, really, because I just said, okay, this is what I'm dealing with now. This is
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
How did you
I
feel when
I
treatment
had a
finished?
false start, and here's why I said that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was able to avoid the radiation. I just did the chemo.
Oh, good, good.
Okay.
Yes. Uh,
Don't get me going.
at first I thought the doctors told me that I only had 6 sessions of chemo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So at the end of the 6th session, mind you, every time I had chemo, it was just okay. Let's go. You do it. You don't think about it. There was no time um, feel sorry for yourself or cry. If I had my girls, they're
Yeah.
very active at that age. We were going everywhere. We were doing everything. So I was
Yeah.
able to still maintain that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God. You
Mm-hmm.
know. So at the end of the 6th treatment, I got to my car and I literally broke down. I was like, what the
Mm.
hell did I just do? Like, I can't believe I did that.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just one of those moments where like everything just came flooding in. Like, you really did that.
Mm-hmm.
And but that wasn't the end of the treatment. I didn't know that I had I knew I had the surgery coming up, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that after surgery they wanted to do another 6th treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So it
that.
was one of those things where you say, you're sitting there and it goes in your ear and it comes through the other. Like, I missed that part of the conversation.
Oh, we're not done
Which
yet.
seems to be
Yeah.
the opposite because it's like that whole shock element, and you just kind of you hear certain things and then you kind of miss bits. And I think, I
Yes.
mean, I know I definitely did that, and I sometimes wish I would have recorded the conversations
Oh,
and
I
just
Yeah.
do.
play it.
I record
You
everything
do
because
it,
I
don't
know
you?
that,
You
I'm not in the right state of mind, and you're not going to remember everything. And so I go back and I
Yeah.
listen, and it's like, oh yeah, they did say this, or yeah, yeah.
I
But it's
should have
funny,
done that.
funny you
Yeah.
should say, about like when you're kind of done with everything and you're just like, okay, what did I just go through? I saw this quote today on Instagram, and I was like, oh, this really hit me, and I'm gonna read it to you guys. It said,
Hmm.
I think the hardest part of cancer treatment is at the end, when everyone assumes you're cured and you no longer need their help. You're in your weakest, most devastated state. Plus, you no longer have the mission you had when you began this journey to kill the cancer. The cancer is toast, but so are you. And now, like a soldier at the end of war, you need help putting yourself back together. Only everyone has gone home since they assumed the war has been won. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
So
But
I
see,
think
for
that,
me,
yeah, that
I'm sorry.
resonates.
Yeah, for you,
In
what?
my I didn't tell anybody when I
Oh,
was
Oh, you
going
didn't?
through it.
oh wow.
What, the whole process, the whole
Yeah.
treatment?
The
Okay.
beginning, the first 6 treatments. I think I started coming out after surgery, after my first surgery,
Mm.
but
Not
I
even your
couldn't.
family, like your close family knew, but
It was 1 or 2 people. So my dad was with me
mm-hmm,
all
Okay.
the
Yes.
time, all the treatments.
Okay.
I had a cousin who I was close with, Jennifer.
mm-hmm,
She was always in my circle. So it was only like the people that were immediately around me,
mm.
Mm.
because anybody else, I couldn't take the face, the crying,
Yeah.
and just the breakdown. Um, you know, I spoke with a few folks from church.
Mm-hmm,
My pastor knew, and the key,
Yeah.
a few people from church knew, and those are the people that I needed around me. Like, I needed the prayer warriors
mm,
around me. I needed the ones that were saying, "You're gonna be good, Nicole." You know what I mean? Like, let's go, let's do this. God got this. Like,
mm,
that's what I needed around me. I couldn't. It weakened me.
yeah.
1 or 2 people that I did tell. When I saw their reaction, I was like, oh no, I
Mm,
can't do this.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't tell my aunt. My aunt, when everybody finally found out, it was just like, They were
Mm,
like, "Oh my gosh, what?" And the tears were still coming. But at that point, I was strong
You were
enough to
past
be
it.
able to tell
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
that I'm gonna be good. Like I did this, and after the surgery, and that's it. I'm gonna be good. So I had to do it that way.
and I
Yeah.
think, I mean, I wasn't very open about my treatment, so I did tell friends as I went along. And it was like a gradual process, and I'm still sort of developing, I guess, my story or what have you. But I can relate totally to the pressure of telling other people, or just sort of, saying, oh, I had cancer or what have you. And then I think, because we can't really control people's reactions, can we?
Mhm.
Right.
We can only kind of fight from within, or whatever we're dealing with, sort of deal with it. And then when other people get involved, I think it just gets to be a bit more complicated. And then we're sort of managing their feelings and their
Exactly.
and then you forget about yourself, especially with you had small children at the time as well. So
Hmm.
it's a lot to take on, like all these sort of things.
How did
And
you tell
I mean,
them? Or did you tell them?
I did. I eventually told them at the same time when I was when I got out of the first operation.
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah.
And the reason is because my kids and I, we've been pediatric cancer activists, so to speak.
Okay.
From my friend who I told you about in the beginning.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of started the whole thing. So we would, they saw, we would pray for kids in the hospital, at nights in our prayers. So they knew what cancer looked like.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because one time, because during my treatments, my hands and my feet got really dark and discolored.
Mm.
Mm.
That's really like the most that you would see on me, my
Mm.
skin discoloration. I didn't lose my hair. I was, still active and going out and doing everything. So the kids weren't affected, you
Mm.
know. So the little one says to me, "Oh, mommy, why is your feet so black?
Mm.
That's what happens with cancer patients." I
Mm.
was like, "Oh, no,
She knows.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Who knows?
and it's funny because okay, a part of my treatment was I would go into the hospital, get infused, leave with a bottle that would be hooked to me for the 24 hours. Then I would go back to the hospital to remove it. So they saw the bottle, but I just said to them, it's medicine. Mommy
Mm.
has to take medicine right now, for a while until everything, you know what I mean? So that's all
Yeah.
they knew. But what she
They
said
knew
to
more.
me, yeah, another thing too, like,
Yeah.
eventually she started having like anxiety attacks in school,
Mm.
and they
Mm.
were asking me, "What's wrong? What's going on at home? Anything different?" And I would be like, "No, nothing." I mean, I didn't tell them either, or and then eventually, I spoke to them, and they said, she probably is, dealing with it. No, you know what I mean? Even though
Yeah.
you look
Yeah,
fine and everything
kids
is,
know more than we think. I mean, we don't give them enough
yeah.
credit, and we think we had my cousin on our two podcast episodes before talking about
Yeah.
cooking with kids and how you tell them and stuff. And a lot of times, we think we're doing them a service by keeping it quiet and not talking to them, and it actually creates more anxiety for them because they know something's up and they know, but they don't know like how to express it or if they should express it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought I was good. I thought, I was doing the right thing, protecting them from being worried. But
Mm-hmm.
And that's a typical mama bear instinct, isn't it? Sort of, to put up a barrier, we protect our children, don't we? That's what
Yeah.
we do as moms.
yes.
And I think there's nothing written down on what to say or what to do. Obviously we've got that, that podcast that we
Hmm.
did with Jenny, and I didn't know that before either. Like, I don't. I mean, my children were quite young, so they were. Well, one of my daughters was a baby, and she knew that I was missing at night, that sort of a thing.
Hmm.
My other daughter was, and she definitely really missed me, like if I was in the hospital or whatever. And my other daughter was 3.5, and I think I explained it to her by reading a book and things like that, but she didn't really understand. But then I think as she got older, she wanted to know more, I guess you could
Hmm.
say. But I mean, I think the typical mama bear instinct does set in, where you want to protect your children. It doesn't matter what it is, cancer or whatever. And you did what worked best for you at that time. That was how
Yeah.
you processed it, because we all process things differently, don't we?
Yes. Yes.
and I can really relate to you where, I was a bit, I mean, I'm still not very open, but I mean, it's just the way I am. But it's just something that we do. It helps us, and it's just the way we are, and
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
okay. That is okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is okay. There's no
There's
correct process or what have you to do this stuff, is there?
yeah,
They don't teach you this
there's
in school, do they? They don't teach you in school how to.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like coming home with a baby. Like there's
Yeah.
no
So
real,
now what?
way. You just
It's like, they're not going to say, you're 37 now. You're going to get cancer. I mean, I was 38. I think you both were 37, right?
Yeah, I was
But,
37 too when I was
you're
diagnosed.
37.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh wow.
so they don't really give you a manual. Say, okay, you've got cancer now. Like we always suspect it would be something that would happen when we're older, right?
Yeah, because like when you're
Yeah.
30, when you're in your 30s or early 40s, it's like you're in right in the thick of things, and it's like you have your kids, and it's just like, wait, this is supposed to be happening, yeah, when I'm like retired,
Yeah.
or when your lady parts, it doesn't matter if your lady parts are not working, because
Lady parts. That's what I should have used.
You got me cracking up, Nicole, and I apologize. It was just the way, lady bits to whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just the yeah, you don't plan for it. It's like,
yeah,
and I mean, I definitely didn't, cancer at 38, 37, whatever. I mean, how are you gonna make time for that? I've got too much to do, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
I honestly didn't think that that would be my portion because in
Mm,
my family we have hypertension, we have diabetes, all those things. So I'm looking at that as, my mom passed away from complications from diabetes and I
mm,
have this hypertension on both sides. So that's what I'm thinking that I'm, borderline if anything. So this thing just hit me, sideways. Like I don't have a history of it in my family,
mm,
you know,
mm.
Did
So did
they
and
you have to
I,
like change your diet, or did you
yeah.
like, once you were diagnosed, did you think like, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to start, eating vegan, or I
I
don't
did
know.
a whole thing, like a whole sweep. I went natural with skincare products and products around the house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't put anything with perfume on my body. I did like a whole cleanse before chemo. I did this amazing cleanse. I think I want to believe that that's what really helped my body, like built my body up for the chemo
Mm-hmm.
because it was really thorough. Um, I did that. I changed my diet because even before that, a couple months before I was diagnosed, I was on a health streak. So I was doing smoothies and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, um,
So you didn't
I
expect it at all, did you? You didn't
now
expect
I was fasting in church or corporate prayer fasting for 21 days. This January. So like, you couldn't have told me that I would have gotten a diagnosis on a fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
Like
how you feel,
yeah.
like, because I, had my own company making natural products, like for hair and skin. I
Mhm.
for years and years, I've never used like parabens and all this stuff. And same, I was on a health kick, exercising and everything. And I don't smoke. And, to be diagnosed with lung cancer at
It's
37,
like, what?
like, it was like, wait a minute, no, lung cancer? Like, how does that
yeah,
even factor? Yeah. So I know
Yeah,
what
I
you mean
mean,
by this being
yeah, and I
short-sighted.
I mean for me actually well I had a baby or whatever and she was 9 months old when I was diagnosed, but I was really excited because I got back into like shape. So I was doing beach body workouts, Sean T, T25, he's like my hero, eating healthy. Thought I was like in, back in tip top shape where I was like, hey, the world is mine or the world is ours, I guess you could
right.
say. And I mean, you didn't definitely didn't expect it, and I think it's just one of those things that's quite shocking. So obviously you've had your diagnosis, you've gone through treatment. What do you do now that sort of brings you joy, that helps you cope with this whole cancer, I guess you would say, roller coaster that we're on, where it's like up and down, up and down?
Mhm,
What brings you joy?
Well, faith is number one. My
mhm,
faith is stronger. Um, Being able to help someone or encourage someone. I've gotten so many people on my page, that says that reading my post has encouraged them. They've sent me to
when
like,
did you decide to like come out and
you know,
share your diagnosis or share your journey with
Oh yeah,
everyone?
it was
that's
that when, all right, so it was a period of time when after my first surgery, that's when I just told everyone pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. And, those that were speculating, like, we heard this, blah, 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 I'm like, yes, it happened. So it was at that point that I decided to share my story with the world, which is Instagram. Yeah, my pastor actually asked me if I wanted to do a testimony one night, and that gave me the courage. I said yes, I'm ready to talk, and it was I haven't stopped talking since then. So it was just I just ran with it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And that's a good thing. I think similar to you, I wasn't sort of open from the start or whatever. And it's almost like this sort of feeling, it's I don't know, it's just like a lot of weight is on you somehow. It's like this weight on your shoulders or something. I don't know. And then once you start talking or telling people, it feels a bit you feel a bit lighter, and it's
yes,
hard when you first do it, because I remember I was like pretty like, oh my gosh, I'm saying this or whatever, and then eventually I'm starting to find my voice, and I still am, and it sounds like you are as well, which is
yes,
brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
yes. It has been therapeutic. I remember talking to a few folks, and at the end of the conversation, they're looking at me like, and I'm just like, yeah, that happened. They're like, what the hell,
Yeah, and I'm
Nicole?
still standing. You're still
Look at
standing.
me like I have two heads.
Yeah, yeah,
Someone said to me, Nicole, you have been going through trauma,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and you didn't even notice that. You didn't know that until, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I didn't notice. I didn't know that. I just thought I was just doing what I'm supposed to do,
right.
just keeping, I never thought of it. Because
Mm-hmm.
there was like other things that were going on in my life too. I had a separation with my husband. Like, I didn't have that support of a husband,
While you were going
during
through treatment, you were separated?
while I was going through.
Oh, that
Yeah,
must have been rough.
it was very rough. I mean, he's there and he takes care of the kids, and he's great with the
Mm-hmm.
kids and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
as a woman, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
it would have been great to have that spousal support,
Yeah.
when you needed it, but that
Yeah.
wasn't there. So it was like that. It was a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot.
So where are
Yeah,
you
and
now? Sorry.
I think you just sort of carried on, because, as you said, you just had to do what you had to do to get by, really, just to keep
Yeah,
your head, keep
yeah,
going, keep going. Um, but Andy's question, yeah, where are you
Yeah,
now?
yeah. Where
That's
are
a
you
good
now
question.
in your journey, or how?
yeah. So now I get screened. I have to do colonoscopy. I think they may have switched it now from every 6 months to maybe once a year. So
Mm,
I go in for the scans
mm,
every 6 months,
mm-hmm.
and I do blood work. So I feel like they're monitoring everything. So should anything
What
arise,
stage were you when you were diagnosed?
three,
Okay.
stage three.
Okay. So it was
And
fairly
stage
advanced.
three, it
Yeah.
was, and that's what I'm saying. At this stage, all I had was a little bit of rectal bleeding.
Mm.
Uh,
Right, yeah.
I mean, I can't even count the fatigue because we're moms. Like,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
wasn't
You're always
anything where
Of
I'm like,
course.
I can't move, like I can't, you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
just get up and go.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
can't even count that. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe,
yeah,
there were times when I would leave work because I work 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I would leave work and running up the stairs. I may have gotten a little more tired than the usual, but I mean, really, that was it. So at
Mm.
that stage three, had I not went in when I went, it could have
yeah,
been, too late.
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, you didn't really have too many symptoms, and it seemed like you didn't even think it was anything. But then, obviously, it sounded like you had a good doctor that sort of decided to refer you on to look into it, just to see, what was going on or what have
Yes.
you. Had
Mm.
you not had someone that actually, cared, I guess you could say, then it could be a different story here today. So
And
well done you for listening to your friend. That's
Yeah.
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
I tell her all the time.
That's your
But
girl. That's your girl.
yeah,
Your
but that's
person.
right. But that's the thing with this. It's called the silent killer, this
Mm.
Mm,
colorectal cancer, because
Mm.
it's so. By the time you notice it, it's already so far. You know,
Same with lung
advanced.
cancer. Yeah. Most people are
Yeah.
diagnosed at stage 4, because by the time
Wow.
I'm stage 4, by the time you notice anything, it's like way advanced and it's metastasized and it's yeah.
But do
So
you know how you got it?
no, no. I mean, it's a mystery. And a lot more younger women are getting lung cancer. And it just and our stories are so similar. It starts off with a cough that just won't go away. And you're just like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have kids and you're getting colds from the kids and stuff. And all the symptoms you just attribute to, for me, I attributed, yeah, to just being a mom. I was always tired, but who's not tired as a mom? I was
Right.
Yeah.
losing weight, but like I was working out. I was out of breath. I was like, oh well, I'm out of shape. Um,
Mhm.
just all these, and then this is the constant cough. Were it not for me coughing up blood,
Right.
that I went to a specialist, and then that's when like they finally took a scan, and I had white spots everywhere, and they thought I had tuberculosis. So,
Wow.
and then my whole diagnosis took 9 months for them to diagnose me.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and the whole time they were like, "It's not cancer. It's not cancer. We don't know what it is.
Right.
It could be this, could be that, but don't worry, it's not cancer." And it was. And I had this like gene that drives the cancer. So I'm still taking this chemo pill every day.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happens is like the cancer is tricky and it's clever and it finds a way to mutate. So now it's mutated to something else that the chemo pill can't control. So that's
Okay.
why I had to start doing chemo. And so I did chemo in June to October, and
Okay.
I had clear scans after that. But then 2 weeks later, I developed another bump, and then that was cancerous too. So now I have to do chemo and radiation. So it's just like a constant, battle. It's a marathon. But
Yeah.
you know, like you, I have faith. I'm just like this is not how I'm going out. We got kids,
Right.
we got things to do. Like cancer,
Yes. Exactly. You got
yeah,
time for this?
we don't
You don't have
have
time for this. Like, I mean, I don't know what it was trying to do. Like, put a little dent in our step, but
Yeah,
you move on and you live your life. You
exactly.
know,
Yeah,
so
Well,
many people
that's it.
are
Yeah, that's
crippled by this diagnosis.
it's
And
scary.
it shouldn't be. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be because you have no control. Pretty much, all you can do is control your mind
Mhm, mhm.
and your emotions.
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah. I mean, and it sounds like, I mean, we all have in common is, we were just moms doing our thing, our moms, and we didn't plan
Well,
it really.
great.
We didn't plan it, did we?
No.
And then all of a sudden you get this big sort of this moment where it's a bit of a shocker, and then obviously you have to go in and do the mom thing and do the cancer thing, and then kind of figure out as you go, because as we said, there's no manual on how to deal with cancer when you're in your 30s, is there,
Mhm.
or even younger or what have you. And we've all kind of thought maybe it would be something that would happen later in life, maybe not to us. Maybe it would be something else like
Mhm.
diabetes or heart
Yeah.
issue, something like that. And then we
Mhm.
kind of have to face it head on. I mean, one thing that I'm kind of, thinking is just, for our children, what do you think they've sort of learned by watching us? One of those questions that,
Mm,
I sort of think of sometimes. What am I teaching them as I
mm,
go
Yeah.
through this?
Yeah. For me, I could say I would like them to know that despite anything that comes their way, any hardship, because it's gonna come. This
mm,
hardship is a part of life. The fact that they saw me go through this, I never once had a breakdown in front of them. That was very important to me. I don't know if that's good or bad. I just know for me,
yeah.
not for them not seeing that is good for me.
Mm,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, they've seen me go through the hospital system in and out, and I always have a smile on my face. I always, still remain the same.
Mm,
So to me, I need them to learn that skill. That's a skill in life that I
mm,
think will help them greatly.
mm,
Mm.
You
mm,
know, how to deal with hardship with their faith. Having God by my side and everybody knowing that, not keeping it a secret.
mm.
Then
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping that that's the formula to
Yeah.
get through life.
Yeah.
That's it. What about you, Andy? What
Yeah. I
sort of
mean, me, it's true, like issue, I haven't broken down in front of my kids. I think actually maybe they see me cry once, and they ask, like, "Oh, mommy, why are you sad?" Kind of, and I say, "Oh, because and but I tell them, like it's okay to be sad, like because I want my kids to feel all their feelings, and
Right.
not feel like they need to hide, like they can't be sad or angry or upset, but as long as like processing it. And my kids now, they're so knowledgeable on everything, like on chemo and on my son asked, can kids get cancer, do kids do chemo, like they
Mm,
we brought them on the journey with us, like we're very open with them. And
Mm-hmm.
even like my kids, they tell people that
they tell
like
people.
yeah, like when during the lockdown, the schools were closed and then they reopened, but I was a little bit concerned that they reopened too early, so I kept my kids at home. And so,
Right.
but my daughter, she's like in the equivalent of second grade, I think it's in the States, first or second grade. The grades are different here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they asked, so she was learning online, she was doing online learning, but all her friends were in the classroom. And so like her teacher, one of the students asked, like, Amaya, how come you're not in school with us? Like, how come? And she was just like, well, because of the coronavirus, we have to be extra careful because my mom has lung cancer. And if she gets the coronavirus, she may die. And like she just said this
Oh,
all out to, and then all of them were like, oh, okay, we get it. And I was just like, really? Like,
yeah.
you know, and they
She's
have,
got it then. I mean, she's like she's educated, isn't she?
yeah.
Really?
And
Yeah.
I mean, like they just adapt to things. I mean, of course, it's sad and they don't want, and she was also having anxiety attacks and, but
Mm-hmm.
we have a therapist and, she works, and my son too. So, for them, it's a normal for them, they don't know anything else. Like this is our families and they're part of the family, and it's like this is what mom has. So
Mm-hmm.
it's they take it step by step and in stride. So I'm happy with how we're dealing with it, and how things are going. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it's well, I love the quote like "teamwork makes the dream work" or "teamwork makes the dreams work" or what have you.
Mhm.
And I think with this whole like cancer diagnosis thing and sort of going through treatment and this and that, it really is. It does take a team, doesn't it? I mean, it's like your family. I mean, obviously, I'm an expat and she's an expat, so we both live abroad. Our families live back home in the states, and like this whole teamwork thing, this whole process that we all have to sort of work together, don't we? Really. And I just think of all the people that are behind me, supporting and sort of cheering me on, so to speak. And I hope my children take that with them as well, just like helping other people. I think
Yeah.
that's really important because you don't know where they're at in their situation. And then also just I think sort of having that, like Nicole was saying, that like we're going to do this type of attitude, like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter how hard it is, we're going to get it done,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. So I kind of hope that they take that from from this experience, because it's been like a family affair, I guess you could say. Sort of the whole cancer situation, and I really want them to sort of, I think the other thing as well is just being able to advocate for themselves, so speaking up. My daughters have different personalities, and if there's one thing that I can teach them is just to speak up for themselves.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid. If you don't feel something is right, then you put it right, or you find out why it's not the way it ought to be. That sort of a thing. So, I mean, when I was first diagnosed, I would think of these things all the time, really.
Yeah.
My children, where they're at, where they're going to be, it always
Yeah.
came up in my mind, dreams, goals, all that sort of stuff. And as I move along, I sometimes let go of it. But I just wanted to ask that question because it's something that guides us, doesn't it? Our children guide us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
Mhm.
I'm glad that they have a dad that he's strong, and what I mean. He won't let them slip,
Mhm.
or what I mean. Like he's
Yeah,
always there cheering them on and stuff as well. So
That's
yeah,
good.
um,
yeah,
That's important.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is because as moms, as soon as they get a little hurt and cry, we're like, oh my gosh, come here, baby, and you baby them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the father is there like, oh, toughen up. What's this? What's going on? So
Yes.
they have that, the best of both worlds. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. That's so true, actually.
Yeah.
Toughen up. I like that. So what do you do? So obviously we've got the mom thing going on, thinking about random things or what have you. What do you do to sort of let loose, I guess you could say, just to sort of say, hey,
Yeah.
this is me?
What does your self-care look like?
Oh
Yes,
my
question.
gosh. So we have a dog. We
Oh.
have a puppy. Yes, Milo. He's been great.
Ah, what kind of
Yeah,
dog is he?
he's a black lab. He's mixed.
Ah,
He's mixed with something we don't know, but he looks like a lab, like
okay. Yeah,
90% lab.
Mhm.
So he's
Ah,
been great for the family. The kids wanted him, and that kind of helped. You know what pets do. So that
Yeah.
kind of helped us. Um,
yeah.
I hike.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I've
I
seen that on your Instagram. You're hiking.
Yes, I
Very
enjoy being
impressive.
on. I enjoy being in the outdoors and in nature.
mm.
Mm.
I listen to music. I love music. And I'm writing.
Okay.
So things, yeah, those things has it brings me great joy to do those things.
Yeah, and I mean, Angie and I like to talk about music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of other things, but what sort of songs inspired you on your cancer journey, or sort of
Yeah, do you
helped
have like
you?
a playlist, or did you have like
Oh,
this
I
song
sure
that's like
did.
your song?
Oh,
Oh no, let me tell you,
right.
Tasha Cobb Leonard, if you're
Oh
listening,
yes, yes.
um, she helped me so much. Like her whole album, I there were times when I went to the doctor and I had to tell them, give me a second, let me just put in my
Mm,
AirPods.
Yeah.
mhm,
And believe it or not, there were times when they would try to get a blood pressure from me, and
mhm,
it would be too high. And when they give me that little 5 minute and they
mhm,
come back, it's
mhm.
better.
Wow.
So those are the things that they got used to me with that. I'll be listening to music and doing my procedures, stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
gospel music for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Me too. Like I have this gospel playlist. Oh my goodness. The other day, actually, when I was doing radiation, I still had my AirPods on, and I was going into the table, and I was like, "Oh, let me take them off." And they're like, "No, actually, you can listen to music." And I was like,
that's
"Really?
cool.
You can?" Because I was just like, because with the Bluetooth and the waves and the rays,
Right.
they're like, no,
Yeah.
no, you can go ahead and listen. I was like, oh, okay, let me get my playlist on. But like the
Yeah.
radiation was so quick, it only took 2 songs and they were done. But
Oh
Two
wow.
songs.
but yeah, it was 2 songs long. But it was
You felt
Jonathan Jonathan McReynolds. Is
yes.
yeah, I
Yep.
was listening to his stuff and I've got, I have like my old school like Kirk Franklin and Fred Hammond and Marvin
Mhm.
Sapp and what's the other one? Um Trey McLaughlin. I really like his stuff. But yeah, I think bonjour, bonsoir, oui ça va, merci. That he's checking up on me because it's midnight.
Oh, it's
So
midnight.
yeah,
Okay.
it's midnight over here.
You're in the
I'm just like
hospital, aren't you?
I'm in a hospital room podcasting. Nothing to see here.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yes, the
but
music. I mean, I think it's important to find something that brings you joy, isn't it, to help make the process
Yes.
a bit easier. And yeah,
Absolutely.
music does the trick, and hiking is good as well. So you're getting out, getting the vitamin D as well. And you
Hmm.
even in New York in the winter, you can get some outside.
mm,
Um,
Yes. We were
it,
it snowed this weekend and we were hiking in the snow. It was great. We
okay.
just and it's a bunch of women coming together and it's so therapeutic. We're
What's the name
talking
of
about our
the
teenagers.
what's the name of the hiking? Is it like a group?
No, it's not like girl trek or
Oh, okay, yeah,
those
that's
big.
what we were talking about.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, it's just
Okay.
a bunch of friends coming together and doing it.
oh, cool.
But yeah, we talk about everything. You know what I mean? It's great. It's
Yeah.
great.
I mean, we're in London. We're in sort of lockdown again, so lockdown mode or what have you. And there's nothing more the better to do than just go for a walk in the woods, as I say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's all there is to do is like go out for a walk, really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've done so many walks lately, and it is just amazing to be out, and especially when the sun is out and you get that vitamin D, or even if it's not out, you just feel like you just need to get out and have a walk around and
Mhm.
and do what sort of helps you, I guess, just sort of heal on your cancer journey.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. You see, I'm a bit of a loner, so to
Mhm.
speak. I know a lot of people, but my circle is like this small.
Mhm.
So
yeah, yeah,
I don't always have people around me, and I like it that way.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
mm,
it has always been me doing my thing,
Mhm.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong
before,
with that.
during, after.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That's the way
I
to do
have
it, isn't it?
another question for you. Um,
Yes.
where do you see yourself? I don't know, like in the next 5 years or
Oh wow,
10
Angie.
years.
Goodness me.
Yeah. I definitely see myself helping more people.
Mhm.
A part of the Anointed Care podcast is to reach those that are in need of that emotional support,
Mhm.
um, in need of an encouragement, in need of a way to cope, because not everybody cope the way I cope.
Mhm.
There are people that needs more people around them. They need a plethora of information. Like I didn't Google anything while
Mhm.
I was going through my stuff. Like, there was like
Sometimes it's
things
good to
that
stay
I
away
did.
from Google.
Yes, I did it one time,
Oof.
and
Okay.
it was like the treatment I wanted to see,
Mm.
and what I saw, this lady had like her whole skin was
Mm.
like, it looked like I don't know what. I was like, I couldn't get off the internet fast enough.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
never looked back again.
Mhm.
It's scary. So you want to be able to can process things,
Mm.
like focus on something. For me was my faith, and I always had Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So I
Mhm.
had that instilled in my head.
That was
And I
mantra.
knew,
Like that was what.
yeah, I'm like, I know that God has a plan. And for me, going through all of that, I have to do something about it. I didn't go through that just for myself. I went through it to help someone else. And
Mhm.
so that's
Mm.
what Anointed Care podcast is about, and or will be about. And yeah, the next 5 years, I'm hoping to be able to have like a team,
Mhm.
whether it means accompanying people to the hospital, I
Mhm.
guess once outside opens up, because there were times when, you know,
Yeah.
um, I saw people by themselves. They had
Mhm.
nobody to come, to help fill out paperwork,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
would
nobody
love for
talks about
us.
the admin part of cancer. I mean, that's
Oh,
the part
Goodness
that's
me.
just like,
yes.
oh.
Goodness
So
me.
imagine being in the meeting and one thing going in your ear and coming out the other. It's the same with writing, filling out.
Mhm.
You don't even know what you're filling out.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
barely
Yeah.
write your name, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So in the US, so in the UK, we've got like the National Health Service, and then I have private health insurance as well. So whatever the NHS won't cover, my private will. But I did end up going private for my treatment. And when I had treatment, I would just call in and say, I've got this appointment booked, do you approve it? That sort of a thing. In the US, I remember, from being a kid or what have you, how there's a lot of paperwork to fill out. Is that right? Still the case? Lots of
yes,
paperwork to fill out and
a
take
lot of
time
it.
to complete
Yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that.
I had. I mean, I remember my when I walked in the first time, but then I also had a friend.
Mm,
After a while, after okay, like let's say 2 years after I went through the whole paperwork thing, I kind of forgot how it is. I
Mhm.
yeah.
had a friend who was going in. She was just diagnosed and she was going in for her first visit, and I went with her just to provide support. And I mean, just seeing her there, she was shaking. She couldn't
Yeah.
really. And I was so glad that I was there to kind of help her.
Mhm.
So that really stuck with me, and that's one of the things that I would like Anointed Care to be about. Not just, being a podcast, but actually being out there in the
Mhm.
field,
Mhm.
providing whatever support we can
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
a team.
That's good.
That sounds really good. I think because
Yeah.
people sort of need that, don't they? It's hard. diagnosis day, so to speak, or leading up to the diagnosis, and then obviously, turning up, and then, as we said, all the information that you hear at, that session when you're being diagnosed, and like you said, it just goes in one ear, out the other, and
Mm-hmm.
what we want to hear sometimes. I know I sort of said, what? Like, oh yeah,
I
we'll be
get
done
that part
tomorrow.
though.
Yeah.
We'll be done tomorrow. Just get me in. We'll be done in a week. Back to normal. Not the case, as we know, is it, ladies?
Yeah.
Not the
Yeah.
case at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Mm.
Oh, well, thanks so much for coming on the
Yeah.
show, Nicole.
Yeah.
We'll
It was
have probably
great
more
having
questions
you.
for you.
Do you have any
Thank you.
parting words or any?
How can our listeners find you, really? So
Yeah.
obviously we'll post about it or whatever. How can people find you?
Mm.
I have so many pages, but right now, Anointed Care podcast is
Okay.
where I talk about my diagnosis
Mhm.
and
Okay.
just living life afterwards. So that's on Instagram for now.
Mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. And as Angie said, what are your parting words? Any words of wisdom you want to share? I think you said quite a bit that would
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So,
know, so now I gotta like go back. Okay.
any
um,
last
or
any last words of
any advice for,
encouragement,
newly diagnosed people?
um,
anything, any messages, I guess?
yeah, for someone newly diagnosed, it looks scary. It sounds scary, but you have to kind of find something to focus on, your whys.
Mm.
And I know people have the whys in business, but what is your purpose for living? What is it that you need to do? Because we still have a lot of life to live. There's
Mm.
still things to do. Focus on that, and let the doctors do what they're supposed to do, and all you have to do really is just take care of your emotional health.
Mm.
That's key, because once you keep your mind strong, you pretty much can go through everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Doesn't matter what they're doing to your body. Your mindset is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Totally. Very, very wise words.
Very, very wise words.
Yeah.
Very,
Thank
very
you.
wise
Yeah.
words. Well, thanks
Uh,
for coming on the show today, Nicole.
yeah. Thanks,
And
Nicole.
it was a pleasure to have you.
Thank
You
you.
were great.
Yeah.
Come
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck with your podcast, and we'll be happy
You.
to
Can't wait to
return the favor and come
yeah.
on.
Yeah. Oh, you already know. I'm gonna be calling you guys up like, hey, so you ready? Thank you for
You
having
know it.
me.
We'll be there.
Thank you. And I was gonna tell you that we have a couple of things in common. So besides the girl, well, you have two girls,
I've got two
or
girls. Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
a girl and a boy.
Yeah.
girl
Yeah.
and a boy.
She's gonna be 8 and he's gonna be 6.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But it sounds like
Almost 2 years
it sounds.
apart.
I hear a little Caribbean twang. Are you from the
Jamaican.
island? I'm
I'm
Haitian.
Jamaican, and
Okay.
my husband is Haitian, so I have
Oh,
in-laws who are Haitians, and I don't
okay.
know anything but two words.
Ça passe?
So,
Glow. Oh, that too. But
Yeah.
important.
Uh,
Food and water.
yeah. That's all you need.
Needed. Food and water. That's it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful family. I love them. And I
Cool.
haven't been there yet, so looking forward to doing that sometime.
Yeah. When the world
But
opens back up.
I know. But no, my aunt got diagnosed with lung cancer, and her story sounds similar to yours because she doesn't smoke,
Mm.
mm,
and I think it was far advanced too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Most likely. Yeah.
yeah, and then my aunt had breast cancer. So that whenever they asked me, "Do you have cancer in the family?" It used to be her for a long
Mm.
time until now recently my aunt.
Mm.
mm.
So
Yeah.
fortunately that's
Yeah,
it.
I
But
mean,
that's as far.
1 in 2 people are gonna get cancer. I mean, it's a common, yeah, it's
I
part
think
of
just
common.
us living on Earth and breathing,
Yeah,
you're susceptible because there's no more, criteria. There's no bias. There's
mhm.
nothing. You just
The risk factor is just breathing.
yes,
Yeah. I mean,
and
yeah.
yeah,
That sums it up, doesn't it? You
Yeah,
just
yes,
don't know
yeah.
what's causing it or whatever. One
Mm.
and
day we'll know. One day.
and this cancer here is termed the old man's cancer. No longer.
Yeah,
So
no.
many young people are getting it.
Hmm. Hmm.
The colorectal cancer.
Yeah.
Is that true with women as well? Actually, women like colorectal cancer is getting more common with younger women. Is that
Yeah,
right? Similar to lung cancer.
I thought I was fairly young at 37, but there's
Yeah,
25-year-olds that are getting it. And
Mm.
this is something that would only affect people over 50.
Same
right.
with lung
Yeah.
cancer. You
They're
don't get
trying,
screened until you're 50. So
yeah.
yeah, it's no longer like a
And then
old disease.
Yeah,
and
same
the
with
fact
breast
that you
cancer.
don't
I
smoke.
think it's you get screened from the age of 50. So it is like a, yeah, I mean, we're just yes.
We're advanced for our age.
I know, unfortunately.
We're gifted.
we're, we're gifted. Classical violinist here. No, I'm
Yeah.
joking. All right, Nicole,
All
it was
right,
lovely
all
to
right.
have you on
So yeah,
today.
thanks so much for
Right.
being here.
Thank you guys. It was great talking to you.
Okay.
I'll be here on Instagram,
Yes.
and I'll let you guys know when we're ready. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
we'll
All
be
right.
there.
All right.
All
Okay,
right.
Have a
Take
good night.
care.
take
Take
All the
care.
care.
best with your treatment, Angie.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
Aw.
Bye.